Okay, class, we're starting on section 5.3, multiplying decimals and scientific notation. Now, section A, multiplying decimals. Multiplying decimals is similar to multiplying whole numbers. The only difference is we place a decimal point in the product. Now, we have step 1, multiply the decimals as though they are whole numbers. Step 2, the decimal point in the product is placed so that the number of decimal places in the product is equal to the sum of the number of decimal places in the factors. Now, we have a few examples here. Now, with our first example, we have 0.6 times 0.3. We drop the decimals and write these as whole numbers. So 0.6 will become 6, 0.03 will become 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. Now we go back to the original numbers. We had one digit behind the decimal place here, and we had two digits behind the decimal place here. So we would add those together. So we have 1 plus 2, which gives us 3. So that means we must have 3 digits behind the decimal place. So our answer here was 18. So we had to add a 0 in front of the 1, and then we would add our decimal. And our final answer would be 0.018. Now, we come down here. We have 0.03 times 0.002. We drop the decimals here, and 0.03 would become 3. 0.02 will become 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now, if you see here, we have 2 digits behind the decimal place, and then here we have 3 digits behind the decimal place, or 3 decimal places. So that means that we will add 2 plus 3, and that would give us 5. So we must have 5 digits behind the decimal. Right now, we only have 1 digit, which is 6. So that means we must add 4 zeros in front of the 6, and we will put our decimal point. So our final answer would be 0.00006. Now, we scroll to the next page. Now, before we get to the next page, we must take note. Don't forget that your answer should make sense in terms of an estimate. Now, if you notice here, we have our regular problem, and we have a box for the estimate. So now, this is how we're going to estimate. We're going to estimate this to the nearest whole number. So 6.4 estimates to 6. 3.7 estimates to 4. And we know 3 times 4 will give us 24. So we know our answer should be close to 24. Now we're going to multiply this out as we did earlier in this problem. So now we would change these decimal numbers to whole numbers. So 6.4 would become 64, and 3.7 would become 37. Now we multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. Bring down your 8, carry your 2. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 2 is 44. We add our 0 here as a placeholder. 3 times 4 is 12, carry your 1. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Now we add these values together. 8 plus 0 is 8, 4 plus 2 is 6, 4 plus 9 is 13, carry our 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So we had 2,368. Now we go back to the original problem. We notice here we have a total of 2 digits behind the decimal, one in the first factor and one in the second factor. So now our final answer here would be 23.68 because we have to have 2 digits behind the decimal. Now if you look here, 23.68 is approximately 24. So our estimate and our answer are very close. Now we come to problem number 2. We have 0.6 times 7.91. Now, what I like to do is this here. First of all, let's do the estimation. 0.6 rounded to the nearest whole number is 1. 7.91 rounded to the nearest whole number is 8. And we know 1 times 8 is 8. So our answer should be approximately 8. Okay, now we have 0.6 times 7.91. I usually like to write the longer number on the top, and we know 7.91 would become 791, and 0.6 would become 6. So we have 6 times 1, which is 6, 6 times 9, which is 54, 6 times 7 is 42, plus 5 is 47. And now we have 4,746, and now we have to count behind the decimal. We have a total of 3 digits behind the decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3. So our final answer must have 3 digits behind the decimal. So our final answer is 4.746. And if you look at it, it is approximately 8. Now we come down here to number 3. Even though we have a negative here, it's still solved the same way. Okay, so we're going to estimate this to the nearest whole number or the nearest integer. This would be -1. And then 34 would still just be 34. -1 times 34, we know is a -34. So now we multiply this. We drop the decimal here. We add -12 and then multiply by 34. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. Put our 0 here. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. So we add these values to give us 8. To give us 10, we'll carry our 1. This would be 4. Now, what we would do here is we would add our negative sign here. So now we look here. We have a total of 1 digit behind the decimal. So we have 1 digit here. And we will have our final answer would be a -40.8. Now we know -34 and -40.8, they're actually not that close to each other. So this is where you would look at how you estimate it and look at your answer here and see that you did both of them correctly, and this is your final answer. Now it says here 0.9 times 0.6. We estimate this to the nearest whole number. This would be 1. 0.9 would be 1. And 0.6 will also be 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So now we drop our decimals here. We had 9 times 6, which will give us 54. We had 2 digits total behind the decimal. So our answer here would be a 0.54. And we know if we rounded this would give us approximately 1. Now earlier in our directions, we had said that estimating can help. Now there are some instances, like in number 3, where the estimate will be way off of the final answer. Now we come here to number 5 and 6. Now here we estimate that 0.2 is approximately 0 and 0.4 is approximately 0. So now we drop these decimals. We have 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And we have 2 digits total behind the decimal here. So we know this would give us 0.08. And we know if we approximated this to the nearest whole number, it would be 0. Now we go here to number 6. Now we know a negative times a negative is positive, so we don't have to deal with the negative signs anymore. So now we round this to the nearest whole number. This will give us 0, and this will also give us 0. And we know 0 times 0 is 0. So now here we would drop our decimal. We had 31. Remember, we said this is going to be positive, so we don't have to put the negative here. Times, we drop the decimal here, and that would give us 18. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Add a 0 here. 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. So we will have 8, 5, and 5. Now we count the total number of digits we have behind the decimal. It's 5 digits. But we had 3 here, so we add 2 digits here in front, put our decimal, and another 0. So this here is our final answer. And if we rounded this to the nearest whole number, this will also be 0. So this estimation was a big help. And that is it.